What made you go, wow, this person is an absolute psycho? I found out my ex cheated on me again and he threatened to kill himself. He staged a whole scene with a knife and bottle of pills and shut himself in a room. When I finally got in there, he told me to call 911, and when they picked up, he suddenly told me to hang up. When I asked why, he completely shut the whole thing off and went completely straight-faced and calm, and told me he was just trying to manipulate me. An old boss of mine during a lunch meeting flirted with the waitress and pressed her for her number. She was clearly uncomfortable, but my boss was a regular and tipped well, so she gave him a number. After she walked away, my boss bragged about how he's a major ladies' man and could sleep with any woman he wants given the chance to swoon them. He continued that conversation in detail for about 20 minutes before finally saying, "I'm stressing all of this to you, Goopy, because I want you to understand how easy it would be for me to take your girl if you ever cross me." He then began to tear up and with a small sob said, "Please don't make me wreck your life, man." That's the day I started searching for new jobs. Edit. To clarify, this wasn't a manager. He was the owner of the company and the lunch was his gift to me for being promoted to management. Additional edit. Since folks have been asking for more context for the day, here's a bit more. 1. The day was supposed to start at 9 a.m. together, and the boss asked me to meet him at his place so we could drive together while we talked about the new position. Instead, I arrived at his place and he was still sleeping because he was drinking all night. He let me in his place at about 9:30 and all you could see were bottles on the floor and several half-drank bottles on the nightstand next to his bed. His kitchen table had no food on it but a lot of weed and white substance lingering on the table. 2. We drove to downtown city where we'd have lunch. But on the way he would stop us at almost every clothing shop. These shops were all very expensive and he'd try out a couple blazers, dress coats, etc. at each location. He would then ask them to hold the outfits for him to purchase later that week but didn't actually buy anything. This went on till lunchtime. 3. Lunch starts and my original post happens. After the food arrives, he tries to ask the waitress multiple times to quit her job and come work for him. After a couple of failed attempts, we finally talked business and we got into it. 4. After lunch, he asked me to join him visiting his branch where I met his workers. Everyone was nice and nothing crazy happened here. 5. After this we briefly made a stop at his parents' home where he asked me to meet them. Both his parents are therapists and seem like nice folks and completely ignorant of their sons' narcissistic tendencies. 6. We go meet with a few clients right after this where he turns on the charisma and swoons all of them to purchase solar panels and such. After this, before he drops me off at my car, we talked casual for a bit and he really started pushing to know personal information about me. I gave him basic information but declined to let him know anything more. He then reiterated that he can either be my best friend and we'll get along or he will do everything in his power to make my life miserable if I ever cross him in any way. Dude from an old place I used to work at told me stories about how he was bullied growing up, so he resorted to following people home out of passive-aggressive insecurities. While I'm empathetic towards his experience growing up, his actions in his adult years have been borderline criminal to stalking levels. He was also a huge kiss-ass that stabbed you in the back once he got chummy with upper management. He didn't last long. This dude lives in a house with his wife, and the nanny and the kids, and the in-laws when they come stay down the hill in another house. There's a big in-ground pool separating the two houses. The children aren't allowed in their house, and they barely see the kids. Just come down for an hour around bedtime. And not even every night. The oldest kid was 7. Worked for a staging company that built truss grids for concerts. About 500 steel pins of the wrong size got sent to us. These things were about £1 each with a pointed tip. One of the techs filled a big gulp cup with them and kept it in the center console of his car to throw them at other vehicles if they pissed him off. At highway speeds they easily could have been lethal. My ex-boyfriend of 4 months is still stalking me 8 months after the breakup. He's tried to get me on a 72 hours hold. He's called my therapist's office. He came and hand-delivered a letter to my house. Amongst other things, I had to file a harassment complaint with the sheriff, which made him back off in some aspects. But he's still pretty active in trying to get my info etc. online. And I don't have enough for a restraining order. So I just have to deal with it. All of this after what I thought was an amicable breakup. I'm still dealing with him trying to Facebook friend the most fringe people in my life, such as my massage therapist, because all of my actual friends know better than to talk to him. Luckily I've since moved and changed jobs, so he has no idea where I am. What's one thing you'd buy regularly if you had unlimited money? Daily massages. My mother-in-law has her own apartment so she can leave. Simple answer. All butter would be Kerrygold. Fresh flowers for the house. Something that doesn't get bought usually as seems a waste but always nice to have. Anne's business class travel. Also things like cleaners and gardeners. I'd secretly pay for other people's stuff to get them out of their financial binds. They'd never know it was me who paid off their outstanding bill or bought their groceries. Subscribe, my brothers.